Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today we're going to be continuing to read the Iliad by Homer. So, let's get going. Achilles with unactive fury glows, and gives to passion what to Greece he owes. How shall he grieve when to the eternal shade her hosts shall sink, nor his the power to aid? O friend, my memory recalls the day when gathering aids along the Grecian sea, I and Ulysses touched at Phthia's port, and entered Peleus' hospitable court. A bull to Jove he slew in sacrifice, and poured libations on the flaming thighs. Thyself, Achilles, and thy reverend sire Menetius turned that was meant to be a thing. Thyself, Achilles, and thy reverend sire Menetius turned the fragments on the fire. Achilles sees us to the feast invites, so shall we sit and share the genial rites. We then explained the cause on which we came, urged you to arms, and found your fierce for fame. Your ancient fathers generous precepts gave. Peleus said only this, my son, be brave. Menetius thus, though great Achilles shine, in strength superior, and of race divine, yet cooler thoughts thy elder years attend. Let thy just counsels aid and rule thy friend. Thus spoke your father at Thessalia's court, words now forgot, though now of vast import. Ah, try the utmost that a friend can say, such gentle force the fiercest minds obey. Some favouring god Achilles' heart may move, though deaf to glory he may yield to love. If some dire oracle his breast alarm, if aught from heaven withhold his saving arm, some beam of comfort yet on Greece may shine, if thou but lead the Myrmidonian line. Clad in Achilles' arms if thou appear, proud Troy may tremble and desist from war. Pressed by fresh forces her o'er-laboured train shall seek their walls, and Greece respire again. This touched his generous heart, and from the tent along the shore with hasty strides he went. Soon as he came where on the crowded strand the public mart and courts of justice stand, where the tall fleet of great Ulysses lies, and altars to the guardian gods arise. There sad he met the brave Euaemon's son. Large painful drops from all his members run, an arrow's head yet rooted in his wound, the sable blood in circles marked the ground. As faintly reeling he confessed the smart, weak was his pace, but dauntless was his heart. Divine compassion touched Patroclus's breast, who sighing thus his bleeding friend addressed. Ah, hapless leaders of the Grecian host, thus must ye perish on a barbarous coast. Is this your fate, to glut the dogs with gore, far from your friends and from your native shore? Say, great Eurypylus, shall Greece yet stand? Resists she yet the raging Hector's hand? Or are her heroes doomed to die with shame, and this the period of our wars and fame? Eurypylus replies, no more, my friend, Greece is no more this day her glory's end. Even to the ships victorious Troy pursues, her force increasing as her toil renews. Those chiefs that used her utmost rage to meet lie pierced with wounds and bleeding in the fleet. But thou, Patroclus, act a friendly part, lead to my ships and draw this deadly dart. With lukewarm water wash the gore away, with healing balms the raging smart allay. such as sage Chiron, sire of pharmacy, once taught Achilles, and Achilles thee. Of two famed surgeons Podalirius stands, this hour surrounded by the Trojan bands. And great Machaon wounded in his tent, now wants that succour which so oft he lent. To him the chief what then remains to do, the event of things the gods alone can view. Charged by Achilles' great command I fly, and bear with haste the Pylian king's reply. But thy distress this instant claims relief, he said, and in his arms upheld the chief. The slaves their master's slow approach surveyed, and hides of oxen on the floor displayed. There stretched at length the wounded hero lay. Patroclus cut the forky steel away. Then in his hands a bitter root he bruised, the wound he washed, the styptic juice infused. The closing flesh that instant ceased to glow, the wound to torture and the blood to flow. Hercules. Book 12. Argument. The battle at the Grecian wall. The Greeks having retired into their entrenchments, Hector attempts to force them, but it proving impossible to pass the ditch, Polydamas advises to quit their chariots and manage the attack on foot. The Trojans follow his counsel, and having divided their army into 5 bodies of foot, begin the assault. But upon the signal of an eagle with a serpent in his talons, which appeared on the left hand of the Trojans, Polydamas endeavours to withdraw them again. This Hector opposes, and continues the attack, in which, after many actions, Sarpedon makes the first breach in the wall. Hector also, casting a stone of vast size, forces open one of the gates and enters as the head of at the head of his troops, who victoriously pursue the Grecians even to their ships. While thus the hero's pious cares attend the cure and safety of his wounded friend, Trojans and Greeks with clashing shields engage, and mutual deaths are dealt with mutual rage. Nor long the trench or lofty walls oppose, with gods averse the ill-fated works arose. Their powers neglected and no victim slain, the walls were razed, the trenches sunk in vain. Without the gods how short a period stands, the proudest monument of mortal hands. This stood while Hector and Achilles raged, while sacred Troy the warring hosts engaged. But when her sons were slain, her city burned, and what survived of Greece to Greece returned. Then Neptune and Apollo shook the shore, then Ida's summits poured their watery store. Rhesus and Rhodius then unite their rills, Carissus roaring down the stony hills. Cassippus Granicus with mingled force, and Xanthus foaming from his fruitful source, and gulfy Simois rolling to the main, 224, helmets and shields and godlike heroes slain. These, turned by Phoebus from their wonted ways, deluged the rampire 9 continual days. The weight of waters saps the yielding wall, and to the sea the floating bulwarks fall. Incessant cataracts the thunderer pours, and half the skies descend in sluicy showers. The god of ocean marching stern before, with his huge trident wounds the trembling shore. Vast stones and piles from their foundation heaves, and whelms the smoky ruin in the waves. Now smoothed with sand and levelled by the flood, no fragment tells where once the wonder stood. In their old bounds the rivers roll again, shine twixt the hills, or wander o'er the plain. 225. And with that we come to the end of the episode. Quite a well-timed thing. Oops, I keep jumping out. So I will say my usual thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night, no matter what time of day it is. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back next week. No, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.